The battle over American campuses is continuing. Overnight, the police were sent in to UC Irvine to take back buildings being occupied by anti-Israel mobs. Across the country, however, student encampment at Cornell University is dispersing in a rare occurrence of campus anti-Israel demonstration where students ended the encampment on their own. Unlike other institutions where agreements with protesters or police intervention were needed, such is not the case at Harvard University, where the encampment continues. ILTV's Rachel Safdie reported from the scene.
I'm here today at Harvard University, where the pro-Palestinian encampments are still ongoing. Entrances of the universities have been closed off for the public and for tourists. Only people that have the university ID, meaning students and faculty, can actually go in. And as we see inside, we still see camps, we see tents of students and people who are protesting. And in the protests, we still do see some anti-Semitic rhetoric.
In a country that my grandparents fled to after the war, we're now seeing signs of our unwelcomeness. We're seeing signs calling for our genocide, our murder in the streets of Boston, in the streets of New York, in the streets of LA, and around our country. And we always claim to be better than that in America, and we've just scratched the surface, and we see that we're not. This is my flag from my country, from my people. And they're not going to take that away from us, whether it's Israel or in the United States or around the world. We must stand up for our people. And this is the flag we all have to parade around our country and our campuses with.
There's an attempt to delegitimize the state of Israel, but more broadly, Israelis. And I think most Israelis here, as long as they're sort of willing to identify as such, feel unwelcome.
Have you experienced anti-Semitism?
So I think that's a little complicated because I haven't been attacked, and I know of people who have been physically harassed. I personally have not been physically harassed, but I know of a lot of people who've experienced a form of anti-Zionism, which I think is anti-Semitism.
Have you been able to have conversations with those people?
So I would say, very sadly, very little conversation. Coming to Harvard, I imagined and expected a world of fascinating and enlightening conversation, and there's been none of that.
I'm standing here in front of one of the gates of Harvard University, and I asked multiple times, I had multiple attempts to talk to some of the students that are wearing keffiyehs and are clearly part of the pro-Palestinian encampment to say a few words, and they shut me down and said that they're not ready to talk about it. No comment, they said.
Well, day 223 of the war in Gaza, and 5 soldiers were killed, 7 others wounded in a tragic friendly fire incident. Meanwhile, in the north, Hezbollah, for a first time, sent a bomb-laden drone to the lower Galilee and struck a military target, as well as dozens of rockets being fired at the Golan Heights just hours ago. More from ILTV's Steve Leibowitz.
The tragic friendly fire incident occurred in Jabalia, involving 2 IDF tanks firing on a forward IDF battalion headquarters, resulting in heavy casualties. 5 IDF soldiers were killed and 7 others injured. At the time of the incident, the tanks were said to be under extreme pressure from dozens of Hamas rocket-propelled grenade attacks in the area. The Army ordered an inquiry. IDF forces faced off against dozens of armed cells in intense combat in Jabalia over the last day, resulting in the elimination of dozens of terrorists. Amid the ongoing fighting, Hamas fired a barrage of rockets from Jabalia at Sderot. Most rockets were intercepted successfully, but one directly hit an unoccupied building, causing damage. Meanwhile, IDF forces continued to operate east of the city of Rafah in the southern Gaza Strip. They raided a Hamas military outpost used for training in recent days, eliminating terrorists in face-to-face combat. The forces are moving cautiously to avoid civilian casualties. The operation in Rafah is expected to last several weeks. In the north, an explosive-laden Hezbollah drone hit a military target in the lower Galilee in what was the terror group's deepest strike of the war. The Army is checking on damages. There were no injuries caused in the attack, some 35 kilometers from the Lebanese border. Hezbollah has launched thousands of drones, missiles, and rockets at northern Israel in the past 7 months. Most were limited to the border area and never reached beyond 15 kilometers until now. Hours later, Israeli aircraft struck in northeastern Lebanon's Baalbek, a Hezbollah stronghold some 100 kilometers north of the border.
As a result of the anti-Semitism spike in the diaspora, Aliyah numbers are reaching new heights, creating a greater need for more space. In their newest project located in the heart of the Holy City, Ir Olam is currently leading the way for urban renewal in the city of Jerusalem, filling the need for newcomers.
Jerusalem construction is currently at an all-time high, as residents and visitors will notice the landscape of the ancient city slowly changing. In an initiative to rebrand and redesign the city, multiple urban renewal projects have been emerging in the Holy City.
We see these days there's a big demand for apartments in Jerusalem. As you know, Jerusalem is a city which is growing. There's a big need and a big demand for new apartments.
The growing need for living space in the Jerusalem area is largely due to the alarming spike in global anti-Semitism. The growing anti-Semitic sentiment across multiple countries has led to a massive wave of Aliyah, which saw more than 3,000 Jews move to Israel since the start of the war. This change alone serves as a catalyst for urban updates to make room for new arrivals. Even in 2023, Jerusalem was honored with the title of the record breaker in urban renewal, according to the Israeli economic newspaper Kalkalist. This movement toward urban renewal is spearheaded by the Ir Olam construction project, which has taken it upon itself to propel the urban image in Jerusalem to the next level.
Jerusalem is going under, I would call it a revolution concerning construction and new projects. And this mayorship of this mayor, we changed after 40 years that it's been trying to change, and now it's happening.
Located in the Givat Shaul neighborhood, Ir Olam stands in a vastly strategic location. Sitting in the entrance to Jerusalem via Highway 16 ensures unparalleled accessibility to the city's main sites, posing an undeniable advantage.
The location that we're at is being surrounded by neighborhoods that have all the infrastructure, all the facilities like schools, shuls, shopping centers, and whatever is needed for the day-to-day.
This new mixed-use concept is going to affect, of course, this area and many other areas in Jerusalem.
We are ready to start immediately, and hopefully we will be on schedule and on budget, and we want the people that are using this building will be satisfied from our work. So we are very proud that we chose to build this building, and we'll do it with a big heart.
Beyond its location, the Ir Olam project is set to contain an array of amenities, services, and centers. The complex is said to have office spaces, commercial outlets, and recreational amenities to create a vibrant urban ecosystem. As construction begins, anticipation is high for the transformation it will bring to the historic flour mill area and surrounding neighborhoods.